Good day, sir. What do you have to say about the new tax policy?
You ask my opinion on the new tax policy.
Yes, sir.
I will not say it is the cogitation of caco-guberналity, malachoformity, disimperium, cacachocracy, or degubernation. I won't refer to it as cognitive misalignment from pseudoducacy or archicoragia, or regimortality, imperiopathosis, or governemesis. I would refrain from any terminological attribution to the necrofiscal extraction paradigm as flawed, or ethico-genically aberrant, or exhibiting a judicial indifference to civic dignity. But I repudiate an appellative conferral on it as inequitable or iniquitous or unconscionable and indefensible. Rather, I will sum it as adaptive revenue optimization regime and multi-layered integrated fiscal exaction ecosystem. Yes, I decline to undignify it with categorical nomenclature of abysmal cognitive misalignment. I am not inclined to confer upon it the appellation of the revenue apparatus as avarice or fiscal rapacity.
But, sir, I mean the new tax policy.
Yes, I concur. But I will opine that a government that elects to ontologize yet another tax prescription amidst the nation's state of pyrocrescence, smothering ruins of mass abjectionism, infrastructural decrepitude, and institutional contempt for the governed, does not merely exhibit excruciating tone deafness. It advertises a pathological estrangement from a deontic axiological cognition system in itself. It is pyrolatent, subconflagratory, eberous, and senescent. Exactionism, when severed from visible social recompense, degenerates from civic duty into bureaucratized extortion, laundered through legislation and sanctified by executive fiat, likened to tributational expropriation, pecuniary imposition, treasurial exaction, institutionalized and bureaucratized fiscalist palatial extraction, and pecunial tributum.
What about the citizens who are angry and no one can predict what they might do next?
The denizens' vehement repudiation of the policy is neither emotional petulance nor populist hysteria. It is the last intelligible discursivity gluttogenesis available to a populace long brutalized by predatory governance and ornamental regnancy. One cannot, with a visage orthogonality or physical orthodoxy, and with an intact conscience, demand pecuniary sacrifice from a people whose daily existence is already an endurance tribunexis against caloric and appetite deficit, vociferous dereliction, and edificial putrescence, and to crown it, insecurity, which I call incertitudinality, precariology, axiostructurality, vulnerability, and neuroprecariatism. To do so is to impose a regressive physical crucifixion upon those already nailed to the cross of economic abandonment. Before the state presumes to tax, it should first atone. It should engage in the heretical act by its own historical standards of actually governing. Here is hoping that in doing so, it exercises the tumorous inequities it has allowed to metastatize. Hospitals that function as waiting rooms for death, schools that manufacture illiteracy, roads that resemble archaeological disasters, and power systems that mock the very notion of modernity. Poverty must be reduced, not rhetorically, not in white papers and budget speeches, but materially, measurably, and irreversibly. Otherwise, The tendency will be termed pecuniary exaction and physical relation syndrome, immiserative statecraft, and extractive governance pathology. In essence, the purpurogenic and pecuniocentric architecture and revenue absolutism and its human residue will not just be languorous but odoriferous, odorous, fetid, miasmatic, and mephitic. To tax the impoverished without first alleviating their deprivations is not merely aberrant. It is sadistically efficient cruelty, the monetization of misery for the maintenance of elite comfort. Such taxation does not fund development. It underwrites opulence, lubricates corruption, and sustains a parasitic administrative class whose only innovation is to discover new ways of bleeding the already anemic. If taxation is to be morally defensible, it must be preceded by an aggressive redistribution of opportunity, infrastructure, and dignity. Government should demonstrate through indisputable evidence rather than sanctimonious press releases that public revenue is transmuted into public good rather than private indulgence. Transparency must be surgical, accountability punitive, and failure professionally fatal. At this point of summative adjudication, a state that taxes without first abating immiseracy architecture is not governing. It is on an extractivization and expropriative capture. Or better still, a resource sequestration. It is only harvesting. And a population that resists such quagmire is not rebellious. It is instinctively refusing to lubricate its own dignitulutation. Yes. Let the government, for once, interrupt this grotesque cycle, uplift the people, ethnoculturate the state, and only then, may revenue mobilization ascend from a legalized plunder to a legitimate instrument of collective progress. Only then, and only then, will the government, to me and my sexuopedal language, be emasculating impoverishment, penury, destitution, and absolute deprivation, immiseration, pauperization, and some sort of physical asphyxiation, or call it slow economic suffocation, socio-economic desiccation, material ejection, and economic necrosis. I hope my elucidation has attained intelligibility within the confines of your cognitive receptivity. I hope I have comported myself with sufficient perspicuity to engage your discernment, or have my preceding explication not successfully resonated with the apparatus of your interpretative faculties?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.